My hair completely fell out. It's just gone. I just got on a chair and I got him to shave it off at one of the freshers parties.
That's crazy.
So I was like,
we had one scammer who basically claimed bankruptcy, took all the cash and cut.
Yale was basically, I ended up only getting 5 GCSEs as a result.
My first life lesson is that you just don't know what something is until you experience it.
Hello and welcome back to the Brown Playbook. Today, the man opposite me, who I've known for a long time, is going to chat to us about his biggest L.
Mate.
Talk to me. What's the biggest L?
Mate, where do we start, mate? Where do we start? It's going to be an 8-part series. No, biggest L.
Go for it, mate.
The one that's probably had the biggest impact on me is definitely, definitely retaking.
Okay.
So for a bit of context, what was actually happening was obviously me and Jay went to school together. And actually, Jay left the year before. So obviously, I was a bit like, my best mate's already left. But what happened was, so basically, so it was GCSE year. I'd actually done really well in GCSEs and thought, let me move from a private school to a grammar school. Now, the main reason I wanted to do this, as a bit of context, is we were just getting our family house done. And basically, the builders were just taking the mick. Long story short, so they were like, it was new, so we had never had builders in the house. We were getting like a whole refurbish.
Yeah.
And what they kept doing is, obviously the asymmetry of information, they would be like, this costs this much, but we need you to pay for this, so we get the materials. But what they kept doing is we had one scammer who basically claimed bankruptcy, took all the cash and cut. So then that means we've literally got like half a house. New builders have come in and obviously we're desperate, right? So we want the job to get done. So me being morally how I am at 16, even though my mum and dad are like, no, it's completely fine. Obviously it's a bit of an L, but we'll firm it. I was like, I've just done quite well in GCSEs. Like it's not really that deep. I can move to a grammar school and still do just well in education, basically, right? Not knowing that how bad it was going to be. But so that's the concept. So I ended up then moving. And honestly, mate, so this is my first life lesson, is that you just don't know what something is until you experience it.
Absolutely.
So I've obviously gone there. I knew a couple of the boys there, knew that and I thought I'd play football with them. But literally at the start of the season, I was in a space boot because I'd done my ankle ligament. So that didn't help. So I get there and literally in the first 3 weeks, I go back to my mum and I'm like, I've got to move back. Like this is not what I expected. I'm just not rating it or I'm not liking it. Like, is there a chance I can get back? Yeah. Obviously, parents do what parents do and they're like, no, stick it out, be persistent. Like, it'll get better.
So they wanted you to stick it out at the school you were already at?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
And I was like, no, sorry. They wanted me to stick it out the school I just moved to. Okay. So my first 3 weeks, I was like, I want to dip back, basically. And then, them being them were like, no, stick it out or get better. You'll make more mates. You'll get to know them better. Like, even though I knew a couple, got to know them more. You'll get to know your teachers more. A-levels to GCSEs is already a big jump as it is.
Yeah.
What ends up happening, fast forwarding, obviously, I didn't do the best. And then I basically was like, no, after this year, it's been the worst year of my life. I have to cut back. And then my mum was basically being like, no, stay, try, do the year above. And I was like, well, and my dad, to be fair, was basically like, well, in the long term, a year doesn't really matter, just cut. So I ended up going back. And now this is where the life lessons really click in because you go back and obviously you've left on a high going to one of the best grammar schools in the country. And then you come back and you're basically people start asking questions, right? So you did so well. Why have you come back in the year below? Naturally, right? People want to know.
Yeah.
And then you've got teachers asking.
By the way, for context, your GCSE results were unreal.
Yeah. No, I went to I got into one of the top 5 grammar schools in the UK. It was more just mentally, it was a bit peak. Yeah. And as I said, the difference in schools, and that's when you're that young, you don't realize how much your environment is needed to strive, if that makes sense. Yeah. So I get back and then obviously people start asking questions and then you naturally say, but that's imagine being 16 or 17 and it's the first time you're publicly embarrassed. Everyone has private L's, you know what I mean? You get aired, something happens, you get something in sports or life, but this is a public L. I've fully come back and I have to address this head on because everyone knows, right? So, and obviously I was glad to be back there. But bro, like, it's the first time you realise, like, it's just embarrassing. Like, I'll be chilling with some of our mates, who we both know. Say, for example, it's lower sixth and upper sixth, or year 12 and year 13. I'm obviously in year 12 again. And say year 13s go to assembly. Do you know how embarrassing that is, bro? They all get up to go to assembly.
Yeah.
I'm in
everyone that you've basically grown up with.
And then I'm just there. Like, that's pretty embarrassing, bro. You're the only one.
And it's a constant reminder, isn't it?
Bro, it's a constant reminder for the whole year. Oh, you're older than everyone. And no one made me feel like that. But it's you're 16 or 17. It's not like you have much life experience. And also, bro, 9 months ago, I was on the biggest high. Bro, like, your life changes. So you learn all these lessons, bro, about like ego, failure. Well, actually, to be honest, it wasn't. You look back on it and think, in hindsight, it was great. It's not that much of a failure. It's not like you can't come back from it. But at the time, you're like, what's going on? Like, so your ego, you're embarrassed. It's public. People start saying stuff. So I think that was probably the first biggest setback, because that was quite hard to take when you're that young. What about you, bro?
Which one do you want? Do you want a school one? Do you want a girl one? Do you want a sport one? I mean,
bro,
I've got L's galore for you, mate.
You tell me.
I guess. Let's go for the school one.
Yeah,
I think that's probably the biggest one, and to stick to theme, I guess.
Yeah.
So for context, I've gone to a lot of schools in my life, right? So even before I moved to the UK at the age of 6, I'd been to 3 or 4 schools. I don't remember. Because we moved from Ahmedabad to Mumbai and back to Ahmedabad. So there was already a lot of movement by the time I was 6. So when we come here, for the first time, I had a bit of stability, and I did really well in a state primary school, which, you know, it was rough for the area, but the area is not very rough, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So then compared to that rough, more rough state school, where not a lot of people that I knew from there went on to like uni and stuff, right? They just kind of stopped school at 16, most of them. I went from that school to obviously our school, which was very different, very old money vibes, private school, where obviously I was only able to go there because I got a bit of a scholarship, and that was good.
Same here. Shout out the scholarship. That's how
I got the academic one. I got the academic one.
Oh yeah. So we actually met. So we had played each other at cricket, but we actually met at the sports scholarship day. Remember, like, I knew your face, and we were like, "Oh, Margon, what are you saying?" Yeah. Jay came. I came through with the sport. Jay came through with the academic. Shout out the scholarships, man.
So I guess the L here was I went to obviously that school in year 7, and here we go. I'm going to out.
But it's a culture shock.
Yeah.
It was a culture shock.
I'm going to out my teacher. I'm not going to say his name, obviously, but I'm going to out what he did. We went around the whole class one by one, saying, "What's your name? What school did you come from? What's your favorite subject?" Right? Yeah. Everyone's done that, and I'm like one of the later people because my surname is like near to the end of the alphabet. Everyone's got to sit in alphabetical order. Which was a shock in itself, to be honest.
Yeah, I've forgotten about that. Year 7 stuff.
Yeah, because mate, my school, we walked past it not long ago.
Yeah.
Like, and you saw it for the first time. I'm telling you, like, the culture there was very, very different. We'll get into that some other day. But basically, we go around. It comes to me. I say my name. I say my school, and the first thing my teacher says, "Oh, is that a state school?" So I'm on the back foot straight away, and I'm like, yeah, I'm 11. I think it is. I don't know. But in hindsight, I mean, me and him didn't get on for good reason. And the L is, for the entire first term, I didn't see a single Friday lunch because I was in detention every single lunchtime for an entire term. And it'd be little things because I wasn't trained to know that if the teacher's talking, you don't talk. I'm just mouthing off, and I've got quite a loud voice as it is, and quite a loud laugh. So I don't realise it, but I'm doing well in all the subjects because naturally I was decently smart. But my behaviour wasn't rude, it wasn't sort of outlandish, it was just, in their opinion, like, sort of not proper. And that's what I got done for. So like, it was things like, sort of, I was asking for a pen for like a colouring activity. I remember this so well because I was like, well, if I don't have one, or sorry, a pencil, if I don't have one, then what am I meant to do? I'm going to ask, right?
Yeah, of course.
And the teacher's justification was like, you wait until I'm done, and then you do. I'm like, well, okay, fair enough. One lunchtime.
Yeah.
And the peak thing about this was, I was the only vegetarian in our year, and the Friday...
Were you the only one in our year?
There was another one. There was one, but she was half-arsing it.
I was gonna say
One of them, man, they say, oh, well, I eat fish, I'm a vegetarian. That'd be
pescatarian.
silly.
But to be fair
That'd be
though,
silly.
go quickly on your point
Go
though.
on.
It was, although you had to adapt more to schooling, and I had to adapt
Yeah.
more to like people there. It is like it's both a culture shock, just in different ways,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So yeah, I obviously got there, and we were like the two brown boys. I was like,
course,
what is
yeah.
going on here? I remember Jay's one of our first things was, do you watch Diary of a Bad
Diary of a
Man?
Bad Man.
And I was like,
honestly.
yes.
Yes, thank
Because
you.
if we mentioned that to anyone else,
Not a clue.
they would
I
have had a
guarantee they've not got a
clue.
clue.
Like it was, the culture shock was a bit mad. I remember being like, well, what is there to not talk about? Because obviously you've got sports and like we were both quite sporty, so you could integrate on that front. But it was a bit like, our family lives at home must be so different.
Mate, the difference between mine and your family is just big enough as it is.
Yeah. No,
The
you
difference
definitely
between-
had more,
No, of course,
for sure.
but like,
for
it,
sure.
it doesn't take away from the culture shock that you got. It's just a culture shock from all these different angles.
Yeah.
What I was going to say, back to the point, was so because I was a vegetarian, I used to look forward to Friday lunches because they had, like, I hated the food at the school and it was compulsory catered. You can't bring your own lunch. Right? And most of the time it was this dry pasta or dry rice, which, do you remember the bounce
diluted
test?
sauce.
Do you remember? We used to always do
sauce. Don't forget that as
horrible.
well.
It was so bad. But I used to test if the rice, if I like picked up a grain and dropped it, if it would bounce.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be bouncing, right? Because it's like, it should be cooked. But anyways, the Monday to Thursday was always bad. But Fridays, there was always beans, chips, cheese. And I'm like, you know what? It's not the best meal, but at least it's a nice hot meal in the middle of the day. I looked forward to it.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see it for the entire first term. Because I was always with our deputy head teacher. Me and her got on really well. she got so comfortable.
She was a G though.
Yeah, she was a G. She was
Shout her out.
shout out.
Miss
Big
Rich.
up. But yeah, no. So I got on with her really well, which was a nice little silver lining to it. But yeah, that was probably my biggest L during school. But there's plenty more after.
Well, speaking on ones after, I think my next one was uni. Well, uni's a different one because uni wasn't like an L like school. Actually, something happened to me. This was my first one where I was a bit like, so you're pretty comfortable in school.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've got the man name, you've got your friends. You know everyone, like even the teachers, your surroundings. You obviously you know how the school works. You know everyone. You're quite comfortable, right? It's a comfort zone. Obviously, you go to uni and
Free for all.
I was really looking forward to uni, to be fair. I got older siblings, older cousins, said it was the most fun time of your life. And it was. But the thing is, when you get there, not like you don't know anyone. I was happy making new friends. I got on with my flatmates. Like I've heard some horror stories about flatmates, to be fair. But I got on with my flatmates. I got on with people in my course. That was all sound. It's more, which is going to sound a bit peak, is because you're in a new environment, stuff starts propping up that you don't know about. So you learn more about yourself, but that takes a bit of time. So what I was getting is for example, some insecurities that I didn't even know I had started propping up out of uni. But I feel like you're still too young and there's still a bit mature to actually know how to deal with those. You've never really like deeped being like reflective, if that makes sense.
Of course, yeah. I mean, because school's such a comfort zone, most people that go to uni like usually stay in the same school if not like one change. And there's a comfort with it. Uni's just so different. And I had no idea what uni was going to be like. I had no older sibling. And the only uni stories I really heard were my dad's, which is very different. It was an Indian uni, which it doesn't seem as like fast paced in terms of like he had his friendship group from day one that he lived with and they just became his friends for life. And that's not quite how it works really in UK unis. A lot of people move around. There's always half the people gone like a year abroad or work or something in the third year. You don't stick to the same people for the whole time. But anyway, sorry, continue.
No, but also that's interesting because I saw, let me just quickly go on a bit of a tangent. I saw that as you get older, you can never make like old friends. Like, you know, me and you, we have stuff because we've grown up from 11 to now mid-20s. Say I met a sick mate now, and of course I met them whether it's at work or it's at a sport or whatever, they'll know me from this age and above. Like, you know what I mean? There's a difference, right? And I heard that, but going back to...
There's a difference,
Going back to our story, so yeah, I found that quite hard because you find the self-awareness that you've got some insecurities, but you don't really know how to deal with them.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was a bit of a setback for me because it took a year and a bit. And I'm sure everyone goes through this, but it took like a year to kind of, look in, be like, no, what am I actually insecure about? And then I think it came to a point where I was like, I hadn't got the balance of like, okay, you're still 18, 19. You still want to be liked because you do care about that naturally.
Yeah.
But you also want to be yourself, but you're too scared to let go to be unapologetically yourself because, you don't have the self-confidence to be like, what do people think? Like, I don't give a shit what people think, right? So I feel like, to be honest, until I really got into my year abroad and then my last year of uni was where I really was like, nah, I'm confident, I bear rate it. But for my first couple of years, bro, I was like, it was like, I would say like low level, like envy and jealousy, but to be like, oh my God, how does he just act like that? Or how does she just act like that? But actually it's more because I'm still in the process of figuring out how to do that. And you know what, to be fair, you don't even know what they're thinking behind the scenes. They may be going through their own thing.
I used to think that about you at school. Because you were a lot more comfortable. Of course, you had your own things, but like compared to me, certainly you were a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, I was.
I used to always think like, well, I knew how and why, but I still used to ask like, why is he sort of chilling sometimes? I'm finding it really difficult to integrate. So, I mean, I completely get that, but I definitely didn't find that at uni because I definitely figured myself out a bit more than just because of like going to India and like moving around.
Yeah, you had a lot more new environments to get used to.
100%. So uni was just another new environment for me. So I didn't really take it out except for like the girlfriend, which we'll get into in another episode.
brother, we have got too many stories.
But for now, I guess the development one, again, I'm just going to bounce off what you've said.
Yeah, mate, go for it.
Probably so in year 10 or fourth form, as we used to call it, I had a choice of, I could like stay caterer. I could have done.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest, like I'd had enough because I thought it would start getting easier in third year and then fourth year. But things just kept happening where I was going home every day and I was like fuming. So I just wasn't happy on a day to day. Whilst my sport, like cricket particularly, was going really well at school.
Yeah.
Academics were doing all right and all of that. And I was integrating from that part. My behavior and stuff was fine by then, obviously.
Growing up. Yeah.
And in fact, like I was sort of overperforming in things that I wasn't like expected to. Things like I really enjoyed hockey, for example. Never played it before, but I really enjoyed doing that and going away. Like I was contributing where I probably wasn't expected to, right? So all of that was good, but I didn't enjoy basically the culture. I just never got used to it. And I thought,
to be honest, but I think we were both in that environment. Like I remember we were both like 15 and we kept having these chats. Like, bro, it's one of them ones where obviously you're two brown kids in the whole year. And we
didn't have any classes together for like the first 2 years. Which was peak. I was like, they could have done us a solid with that. Do you know what I mean? Like,
bro, and then we didn't. We used to get moved.
Now we're relating to all these memes where they're like, the girl, you know when they say, when they split the boys up, but the girl group get to like stick together. I've seen memes like that recently. I'm like, you have no idea how hard that hit for me and you, because. But
that's because we were just so gassed that we finally got one. Now, obviously,
I had so much fun. Do you remember RE, the little pen thing?
What I remember is the vocab tests. The French and Spanish, they were the funniest. So what I was going back to it was, sorry, before you complete your point, it was just very similar in terms of like, we were at that age being like, bro, because there's just other people that are just, we felt at the time were just immature, but actually they just needed a year or two to grow up and they're just bare calm, I actually thought. But it just, that if you told me at 15, like how I've just said, give it a year or two, that's just not a good enough answer then, is it?
Agreed, yeah. So like to put more context on that, the kind of school that we went to is like, when those kids are born, they know they're going to either that school or a similar one nearby, whereas that might have been the case for you, I don't know. But for me, it was a spur of the thing moment. When I was 10 years old, my dad went on a bunch of open days. He's like, you know what, just give the exam and see what happens. And then I found myself there. Whereas all these people, they basically had a path for them. They were mostly like white kids from like
privileged backgrounds,
very privileged backgrounds from the home counties, which is just, there's a very, there's a certain confidence that you have with that, which I saw.
Because you've been raised with it due to your parents. And it's in that confidence that lives in your house. You know what I mean?
That's one of the biggest things, actually. This isn't to do with the episode, but private schools, rather than like the quality of the facilities, all of that is there, don't get me wrong. But it's the confidence that they send you out with, the belief in yourself, which is what stands people out. And that's probably the biggest difference between the outcomes. Of course, the standards of like the teaching and stuff is there, but I think people can make it without having the best teachers around if they're naturally smart. Whereas I know people that were dumb as shit in our school that ended up, most of them have really good outcomes. Pretty much everyone. I don't know, like, I can't think of one person that's not doing all right or like, getting on with it.
The thing is with me, going back to why you said this, I just got the highest sports scholarship there, to be fair. Because obviously another school, I just got a straight cricket scholarship. But then my dad basically, and I shout him out for this, basically was like, no, they've given you an all-round sports scholarship. You're basically too young to be focused on one. Right now at like 10 or 11, like at 14 or 15 maybe you can, but 10 or 11, and to be fair, that helps with all sports, right? So when you're playing multiple different sports, obviously you need multiple different skill sets in life at work.
And I remember that was there was a difference that was an all boys school, isn't it? That was. I remember you telling me that was a big difference as well, which I'm so glad that I didn't end up doing, because like that was
the other point. Yeah, you're right. Is that my dad also wanted me to go to a mixed school. He was like heavy on like the real world's mix, which I completely agree with too. The real world's mix, like you need to start developing.
Don't agree with the idea of boys and girls school.
Neither. I think it's just an old school traditional.
Yeah, and that's fine. You can stick to your traditions, but I don't think it prepares people. If the point of school is preparing people for life, that doesn't do it.
But anyways, back to year 10.
Back to the story was, year 10, I decided I had enough. And there was a moment where my family, who, when we moved here, we never intended that we were going to stay and make a life here. Like, we just took it year on year. My dad had a good job. We sort of came here on a visa that allowed him to start a business or do whatever. So we were never like, oh, we have to stay here. Me and my sister were just in education, so we kept it going. There was a moment where we thought we might be permanently moving back to India, and I tried to get a step ahead, and I was already not having a good time at school. So I was like, you know what? Let me be the first to make that step, and let me go to India and see how I find it now that we've lived and grown up here. So when I went there, the biggest L that I sort of took there was just a little bit of lack of preparedness. I was fine in terms of academics. It was a completely different system. All the kids spoke Hindi, and these are all stories we can get into, which you don't even know about, to be honest. But
bro, there was so many, and at that point, to be fair, the only thing I can say on that is that we actually did so well to keep in touch, bro.
To be honest, that's probably why this pod exists, because we learned to speak to each other when we like to have those catch ups, the way you kind of have to when you're an adult. And we got into the habit of doing it more regularly.
True.
But the L there was basically because we missed that. Because I was in year 10 in the UK, and in India, they only go up to year 12 rather than year 13.
Okay.
So when you finish year 10 here, you've only finished year 9 in India. Now, the headmaster of that school, she made the mistake of not realizing that's the case with me. So she enrolled me into the school. I was taking all the exams. And then when I gave my first board exam, the board said, this guy's not passed the requirements.
Prerequisite.
He's done fine in the exams, but he's not passed the prerequisite. He shouldn't have been in the school in the first place. And we can't sort this out now unless you can prove that he did the prerequisites, which I hadn't done. Because it was an oversight. So it wasn't an L, it isn't my mistake. Although in hindsight, we could have like figured that out a bit more. But again, if the headmaster's giving you a guarantee, it feels like
I've done everything.
You've got a certain assurance, But I didn't have that. And the L was basically I had to end up sacking off all the progress I'd made in that school, and I ended up doing GCSEs, but internationally, where I only had 4 months to end up preparing for them, and I ended up only getting 5 GCSEs as a result. Did well in all of them, but from our previous school, I could have easily gotten between 10 and 12 GCSEs, all doing well.
Easily.
There was no issue with that. And I would have done well in all of them, but I ended up just getting 3 A stars and 2 A's.
That's great. But
it's still an L in terms of my CV. It ended up not mattering me being where I am now.
Education,
But at the time, it felt horrible that I put in the work. I've done everything right pretty much in terms of academics, and I still ended up with a lower grade, which was like, there's no way to even grow out of that one. You know what I mean? Like, what'd you do? Am I going to retake the whole year now, even though I've done enough to move to A levels? It was a really awkward time when that was happening, but it was the same time when you were going through your retaking year. So we were both going through it, mate.
No, mine. I look back and think, oh no, that was actually so good, because as you get older, you realize so many things about, like, is that my ego speaking? It gives you the drive that, like, as you get older right now, like, so in mid-20s, we know, like, with life experience, a good thing is that, okay, you probably bounce back from a couple of things now. So you know, okay, cool, like, this is another one I've just got to push through. But when it's your first one, and also you've gone into a complete different environment where, like, I didn't even know what, like, mental health was back then. I thought it was so sunshine and rainbows. Like, I've done my first public exams, GCSEs. I've actually smashed it. I've gone to one of the best schools. Like, everything was looking up, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it takes a turn. And the thing is, it takes you. There's a massive time lag to realize that it's taken a turn.
Yeah.
The second thing is, then you don't know. You just don't know how to stop it, because you're not equipped enough, right? Like, you're not old enough. You don't even know, like, mentally you're struggling, for example, right? All you know is that basically, I ain't happy here. I need to get out. You don't know what makes you happy, what's happening. And the important part of not knowing is that then you don't know how to express it to others, because you don't know yourself. So you're just having these thoughts circling around your brain like a vicious cycle, because people are then asking you, and it gets even more frustrating, because you're like, well, I can't even tell you. So it's definitely, in hindsight now, is a very good thing, because it teaches you all these life lessons that you can't get without going through it. But it was definitely a bit of a peak time, bro. Definitely a peak time.
I guess, do you want to say one more? Or I've got one.
Oh yeah, I'm good, bro. You go.
The one more that I'd like to mention, and we'll definitely talk about this again, was after all the school stuff, did my undergrad, and I ended up going into Uni of Edinburgh for my master's, which is, again, I'm feeling this huge high, because on a personal front, in undergrad, I did not have a good time. Academics wise, it was fine. We had 2 years of COVID. We had first year and then 2 years affected by COVID. But on a personal front, which we'll get into in another episode, as I said.
He wants to speak.
Not yet. More of you need to subscribe before I tell you that story.
Trust me.
But so it was a really big moment for me to get into Edinburgh, basically. I get there. My family are there dropping me off, basically. I'm in the Airbnb where they're staying for a week before I move into my halls. And I go for a shower, and I basically tried to dry my hair, and, like, clumps and clumps are out of it. And I thought that my mum gave me a dirty towel. So I was like, Mum, can you give me a different one? They leave, and then within 10 days, I'm talking thousands every time I'm out the shower. Bad. And to be honest, the reason was, like, I never went to sort of therapy or figured out exactly what, but I can pretty much tell you what it was. It was the stress from the school stuff, the story I told earlier.
Yeah.
And it kind of never stopped. There was one thing or another that was stressing me out from the age of, like, I'd go back as far as to say from the age of 11. Ever since I started at Caterham, I was like, there was obviously what we spoke about was stressing me out then. And then this whole journey with the academics with GCSEs, as I said, A-levels was their whole other story, which was another L. And then uni, where I clawed it back, but there was a personal problem there. So it's just been like a decade of just me, whenever I get a moment, just being really stressed out.
Yeah.
And I was on the other side of it. And I thought
the key thing there, sorry, just to mention, is the no break, bro.
Yes.
So for example, I took a bit
from 11 to 21.
I had a high on GCSEs, obviously, then took a bit of L, as I mentioned, in my first year of A-levels. Managed to bounce back, though. Once I retook, I did do well. Went to the uni I wanted to. So actually even though it took a couple of years, I bounced back. I was happy. And then in first year was when, obviously, it wasn't as much as like an academic L. That was more of a personally trying to work myself up. But my key point here is that there was a couple of years where I was grinding, but obviously I felt okay. I'd got over that. Yeah. As I moved Jay, it was like a constant. There wasn't much break, because let's just mention this, though. For context, he went over to India in year 10, did international GCSEs, but he stayed there for A-levels. Obviously, we'll talk about A-levels another time, but it's key that you were there, and then you came back to England for uni. So for 3 years, he was actually in India.
My family basically decided that we weren't going to end up moving, because it just didn't make sense after when we reanalyzed. But I was having a good time in the country, to be fair, except for the massive mishap from that school. But I was really enjoying it. Actually, it helped me find my confidence out there. Like, I was a much more confident person, where before recording this, I was not confident at school at all. And I tried to perceive myself, like, I tried to show that I was. But, I was very erratic. I think that was the right word that you mentioned at school. But anyway, so obviously school happens, undergrad, get to my master. I thought I'm on the other side of this, and now I get to actually chill out a little bit. And yeah, just the luck would have it, my hair completely fell out. It's just gone. And that's when you were obviously abroad.
Yeah.
So I mean, we weren't really able to speak because of like the 8-hour time difference as well. I didn't have like a habit of speaking to my parents about this. I mean, they knew that it had happened. And actually, what I did to turn it around was during the freshers period. Obviously, I'm not a fresher, but like everyone was partying at uni at the start of the year. We had like a house party, and I lived in a flat with 11 other people, which made house parties really good. I just got on a chair and I got him to shave it off at one of the freshers parties.
That's crazy.
So I was like, you know what, I'm going to lean into it. Because if it's all just going to fall out, I thought I could shave it, and then at least the patches that haven't fallen out start growing back a bit quicker rather than the rest of them falling out.
It's peace of mind being like, well, if I shave off, then at least when I come out the shower, there's nothing to fall out.
And I became like, people didn't know, my course didn't really meet me. So I was known for always wearing a snapback at my course, and they had no idea that I was basically bald on the
snapback around 10 years later.
Snapback at an MSc finance course. My director did not rate me at all. Not at all. He thought I was the maddest guy, just turning up like, yeah, what are you saying? Always in a trackie and a snapback.
I'm a serious candidate though.
Yeah. I was the youngest person in the course, just saying.
Yeah.
There was one younger than me, but she failed.
Jeez. Anyway,
that was probably the most recent and biggest like turnaround I had to do. In fact, the Insta post that I did with the before and after, where it started finally growing back out a little bit, was like one of the big sort of happiest moments where I was like, okay, maybe I can chill out a little bit now. But anyways, that is a good point to cap it off.
Anyways, guys, like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff.
And let us know if there's any similar stories on your end.
Cheers.